During her year as head of the Department of Justice, Bondi accomplished nothing other than clogging our courts and our grand jury system, trying to prosecute people who done Trump wrong. But because Pam Bondi sucks at her job, Trump, within months of taking office, grew frustrated with her inability to bring indictments against his enemies like Eric Swalwell, Congressman or now Senator Adam Schiff, New York State Attorney General Leticia James, Fed Chair Jerome Powell, because he won't lower interest rates, Lisa Cook, because she's black, she sits on the Federal Reserve, she's a woman, and she doesn't want interest rates lowered. And of course, James Comey couldn't indict any of them. She did get John Bolton, and I'm proud of her for that. Trump's former national security advisor and POS, John Bolton, who led us into Iraq in 2003, he was indicted for violating the Espionage Act. They got him last year. At least he got indicted. They say he violated the Espionage Act back in 2019 when he was Trump's national security advisor and began emailing classified emails to his children who were helping him write his memoirs. I don't want to get into the memoirs. He refused to testify during Trump's first impeachment because he didn't want to cut into sales of those memoirs. And now he's been indicted, and it is believed this case against Bolton is solid, and he's probably going to prison. And that would be a good thing. It would be nice to see John Bolton spend the rest of his life in prison. Bolton hates Trump. Trump hates Bolton because after leaving the White House, Bolton kept giving interviews saying Trump is an idiot. But Bolton's an idiot, a dangerous idiot. He got us into Iraq, or at least helped get us into Iraq, and he supports the failed war in Iran. Bolton has been calling for an invasion of Iran since before he was calling for an illegal invasion of Iraq. So maybe John Bolton will spend the rest of his life in prison, and Pam Bondi would have accomplished something. But other than that, Pam Bondi failed to get indictments on all the high-profile enemies Trump wanted locked up. He decided to weaponize the Justice Department, claiming it had been weaponized against him. Well, Biden was able to lock up, get some indictments. They can't get any indictments. Couldn't get John Brennan, the former CIA director under Obama, who Trump blames for Russiagate. She couldn't get a grand jury to indict John Brennan. Comey, Leticia James, all thrown out of court. Jerome Powell completely stalled, going nowhere. He's trying to get Powell indicted because of renovations done to the Federal Reserve building. Meanwhile, look what he's doing to the White House. You might remember Trump took to social media last fall screaming at Bondi. It was supposed to be a memo to her, but it ended up as a Truth Social post. He was screaming at her, "Get Adam Schiff, get Comey, they're guilty. We can't delay anymore. It's killing our reputation. It's destroying my credibility." He said, "It's destroying my credibility," said the man who tells at least 100 verifiable lies each day. On average, the Washington Post counts them. He's worried about his credibility. One thing everyone can agree on is Bondi crapped the bed on the Epstein files, both sides of the aisle. She blew it. She failed to protect Trump, and she failed to keep her promise to his QAnon base that when it comes to the Epstein files, this will be the most transparent Justice Department in history. Well, it's the most obvious Justice Department. It's the most transparently obvious Justice Department in history. You all remember in early 2025, she told Fox News, I'm releasing the Epstein files in their entirety, and there was a client list. In fact, it's sitting right here on my desk, the client list. And then she invited MAGA influencers to the White House, handing them binders filled with Epstein documents, promising this is only the first in a series of Epstein files releases. But then it turned out to be files filled with nothing. And that infuriated MAGA, QAnon, and all the influencers. And then, to make it even worse, suddenly she announces there's no client list. Epstein files won't be released. Epstein died by suicide. Case closed. That's what she said. It's done. It's over. That's what she told Trump's supporters. Susie Wiles is the White House chief of staff. She told Vanity Fair in December that Pam Bondi, quote, completely whiffed on the Epstein files and damaged the White House. Her testimony, Pam Bondi's testimony before the House Judiciary Committee back in February, made her look detestable, grotesque. She wouldn't even apologize or make eye contact with the Epstein victims, the Epstein survivors, and their relatives in the room. She trivialized their abuse. Instead of answering the committee's questions, she played round after round of what about? What about? What about the immigrant who got behind the wheel of a car completely drunk and killed a grandmother in your district, Congressman? Why aren't you talking about that? Remember her little white book of burns? So she would be asked a question and she just wouldn't answer it. She would just attack the Democratic congressperson asking the question. And then she said flippantly and repeatedly, why are you so obsessed with the Epstein files? That was her gambit with Epstein survivors and their families sitting in the hearing room. It didn't look good. At one point, Pam Bondi said, with the Epstein victims in the room, she said, why are you focusing on the Epstein files? We should instead be talking about how the stock market, the Dow Jones, is up over 50,000 right now. As if that's why an attorney general would be asked to testify before the House Judiciary Committee. The first question you ask an attorney general under oath is, how's the Dow? Bondi has been subpoenaed to testify before the House Oversight Committee, which is tasked with looking into the Epstein files. Her testimony is scheduled for April 14th. Will she testify? Republican Nancy Mace, who sits on the committee, says she wants Bondi to testify. She said, I don't care if she's no longer Attorney General. She said on Thursday, former Attorney General Pam Bondi completely botched the release of the Epstein files and did serious damage to the Trump White House. The ranking Democrat on the House Oversight Committee is California Congressman Robert Garcia. He said on Thursday, it doesn't matter that Pam Bondi is no longer our nation's Attorney General. She is legally required to testify under oath on April 14th. Kentucky House Republican James Comer chairs the House Oversight Committee. He said after Bondi was fired on Thursday that he's going to get a vote from the members of the House Oversight Committee to determine whether they should force Bondi to testify. Or maybe he'll just call Hunter Biden to testify for old time's sake.